Hi, welcome to a Zeens and Roger crochet tutorial. It has been a while since I've done one of these, so forgive me if I am not the greatest on this one, but let's give it a go and see what happens. I am showing you how to make a hat with some mohair and cat hair by the looks of it. This is the same stitch throughout. It's worked from this end in rows all the way to the other end, and what I've done is, for the most part, combined two different yarns, a DK weight yarn with a lace weight mohair kid silk yarn. I used West Yorkshire Spinner's Bo Peep, I think, and it comes in 50-gram balls, and I had just under 3 balls to work with, and then I had, I think, one of these. Trouble is, you see, this is the ultimate stash buster, so some of these yarns had been used in other projects already, so I didn't have brand new full balls of each type of yarn. It is supposed to be a complete and utter brilliant stash buster, so whatever you have to hand you can use in this hat. The mishmash craziness of it is the whole point, so if you haven't got a full ball of something or whatever, then you know you can mix it up. It's fine, it's whatever you fancy doing. I think though, if you wanted to get yourself 100 grams of DK weight yarn, that will make you a hat, but you need additional yarn if you're going to do yourself a pom-pom on the top. So I was working with under 150 grams of the DK, and the lace weight comes in 25 gram skeins, and I had about 1.5. One will do the hat. You'll need extra for the pom-pom if you're going to go and do yourself a pom-pom. Right, with that mix of yarn, sorry, I've just headbutted the camera. With that mix of yarn, I'm using a 4.5mm hook. It's bigger than I might go for ordinarily, but the stitch I'm using here works better when you go up half a hook size. So maybe I would have worked this with a 4mm, but because the stitch is a yarn over slip stitch is what I'm going to call it today. That can create quite a tight stitch, so by going up a hook size, and you might want to go up to a 5 or a 5.5, you need to have a play around and see what you're happy with. It makes this stitch a little bit less dense. It's nice and squishy, nice and loose, and then that makes it easier to work into the back loop, because that's what we're going to do for this stitch pattern. So this measures about, from here to here, it's about 45 centimeters. That's going to create negative ease on your hat, because my head is not 45 centimeters circumference, it's 56 centimeters, but this should create a decent amount of negative ease, so it fits on my head nice and comfortably without being too small. But if you go too much, go too long, then it's going to be loose and flappy and not fit nicely on your bonce. Okay, so I think if I covered everything, if I haven't, ask questions in the comment sections. Absolutely fine, I'll try and get back to you if it's a question that I can answer. Hopefully I can. So what I'll show you how to do is how to do this stitch pattern, how to start it off, how to change the colours, and then I'll dig out my pom-pom maker as well, and probably let's make a pom-pom as well, and we'll stitch it all together and we'll have a hat at the end. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Okay, so I think what I'll do is, oh, I need that hook, stupid woman. I've got this ugly colour here to show you the little swatch I'm going to do, just to show you the stitch pattern, and then what I'll do is bring in all my little bits of leftovers from other projects, my stash of fluffy yarn. We have got fluffy in the form of mohair, fluffy in the form of alpaca, fluffy in the form of probably some acrylic, like brushed acrylic or something, which I know you can get. I don't know if this one might be that, or it might actually be a mohair mix. I don't remember. This one and this one and this one are all from Flying Tiger a couple years ago. I don't know if they still do it, but it's what I would describe as quite close to a lace weight yarn. I've used it. These ones, they were last year's hair scrunchies for Christmas presents for people. So that one is like a lace weight yarn. Then I have a lot of, don't know what that one is. I've got some of this, which is leftovers from a cardigan I made. This is described as a DK weight mohair. And I bought it from a shop called MYPZ, which is based in Europe. And I just did a massive online order one day because I like the look of it. I want to use it. So this is some of my leftovers of that. And it comes in loads of different colours. And oh my goodness, I love it. I also have fluff in the form of this stuff, which is leftovers from another cardigan I made. It's sold as a DK weight yarn. It's quite fine for a double knit, but it does have a decent fluffy halo on it. So when you use it, that kind of fills in the gaps and creates a more plump looking yarn. So that's called Get Your Fluff On from Hobbycraft, which is a UK based shop. And I think you can buy their stuff online, but this is dead cheap as well. But it's a mix of like alpaca and polyamide and something else. Can't remember. This one, I cannot remember what this is. I've literally no idea. It might be a Rowan one. Or it might be Drops brushed something or other. Don't know. This one is Drops Melody, which is a nice fluffy yarn. Not lace weight. I don't know if this is classed as DK. I can't remember. If you have skipped all of the intro stuff to get to me starting the hat pattern, you can always go to my blog where I'm going to write up an accompanying post so that all the information is there if you just want to glance at it rather than listening to me for 4 minutes or however long that was, talking about all the different fluffy yarns and stuff that I've just shoved over here. To begin your hat with your 4.5mm hook, your lace weight yarn and your DK weight yarn, hold them together like so, and then for this hat I'm going to do a slip knot, which is always a very popular way of starting a crochet. So I have my slip knot on my hook and I'm going to chain 41 for the hat. But obviously I'm not for this swatch because otherwise we'd be here forever. And I don't want to be here forever. I hope that's okay. I'm just here to show you what you need to do on a bigger scale, okay? So make sure you catch both as you yarn over and pull through when you're chaining and when you're working all the stitches, okay? So let's pretend this is 41 stitches. In the second chain from the hook, so missing this one here and going into this one, yarn over and go under the first loop, and then you're going to slip stitch under the next two stitches. And that's the stitch for this hat, okay? So it's yarning over, going into the stitch, yarning over, and then pulling through the last two stitches on your hook. So you do that all the way along this chain to the end, but then you're also going to be incorporating other strands of colour. What I have done is on my hat, it's only one colour change per row. whether or not it's a chunkier yarn or a finer, paler yarn, then it's literally just one little zip of colour per row in a place that's randomly done according to what I fancy and how the hat is working up. So what you might want to do is you might want to do a row of just this main colour so that it's relatively stress-free. I didn't. I wanted literally every single row to have a colour on it, so I might have ripped off a short length of whatever and then dropped the, for like, this is lace weight, that's lace weight. I'm going to drop that lace weight and just lay this one across so that I'm using that one instead. It's a bit of a lazy colour change, but it works with this one because all the fluff make sure that it's all felted in nicely, and you're not gonna worry about that end unravelling at all. It's fine. You can sew them in afterwards if you're so inclined. I couldn't be bothered, so I've got a load of ends and stuff. I'll show you in a minute. So you're just using that instead. With the different weights of yarns, you may decide to swap out the DK rather than the lace weight. It's entirely up to you what you do. But basically, that, in a nutshell, is it. Sorry, another light headbutt to the camera. Apologies. So, let's say that's enough of the main colour. That different contrast colour, sorry. You want to drop that to the back, and then here I am picking up the main colour to start again. And yeah, there's going to be a little floating bit of yarn there. So if you want to keep your little zips of colour shorter, that's beneficial. But you can crochet over that float as you return. So this is the first row, and I'm just about to come to the end. There. It looks like I've lost the... Have I got the mohair on that one? No, I've lost it. There it is, look. But don't worry too much if you lose it. Don't worry too much about anything on this one, because the roughness of it is what makes it look pretty cool as well. So I've chained one there because I'm at the end of the row. That's my chain one. And every single row now, you're going to be working into the back loops only. All the way along, trying to catch the strands of both yarns each time. So you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through the stitch and then through the last two loops on your hook, okay? And that is the only stitch that you are going to be doing in the entire hat. Right, so I want to change to this lilac colour. I'm going to drop my double knit and then lay that across alongside my lace weight and yarn over, and then you're making the stitch in those two yarns instead. I would only do this for a few stitches as well, not only because of the floats at the back, but because it can be difficult to see the stitches in the crazy fluffy yarn. So do however many you like. Sometimes it's going to be tricky to get your hook through those loops, which is why I've gone up by half a hook size. but if you wanted to swatch a size like this a couple of times just to see what you're comfortable with, to see if you want to go up a hook size, or to see if you're happy with how things are going, then please do a little swatch. But I mean, this is the first time I've done a little swatch, just to show you guys. And then I've swapped back to the old one. And then before you know it, you'll pick up speed and become more confident as each row progresses. Oops. And if anything, a 5mm might be better if you're not used to this stitch. But yeah, that's up to you really. the main hat is my zips of colour are between that and that. If they are long, I did tend to cut the main yarn and rejoin again later, but they're all different lengths. I've got more longer zips of colour when it's a finer weight of yarn, and I kept the chunkier bits short because I didn't want it to warp the fabric too much, and I thought that if I had major bits of all of this fluff, then it would start to kind of bulge out and look a bit unattractive. But you can do whatever. And then on the back it looks a little bit like this. See, I've got my floats of this yarn that I didn't bother crocheting over, but maybe I would have done had I been a bit more I don't know, efforty. And then the rest of them, I was not going to sew in all of those ends, not a chance. So I tied them in knots and then I snipped them, because I'm not being funny, but I'm not fussed. If this comes undone, it'll be okay. And it's not going to, because the fibres of all that mohair, they're going to mesh together, and then that's it. They are not coming undone. I don't know if you've ever tried to frog a mohair project before, but it's a nightmare. These suckers are not going anywhere. I can pretty much guarantee it. Unless you've done something really weird, and in which case I hold no responsibility. So what we want to do next is sew it together. So I have not brought my darning needle to the table, so I'm gonna go and get that. I almost made an assumption that you would know how to fasten off. You might not, I don't know. But when I got to an end of a row, this is my really long hat. This is my hat. I finished it. I've worked 70 rows, say, which is how many I worked. And so I fastened it off and I've left a super long tail. And then all I do on that last row, I haven't chained one. I'm just going to hook the yarn through the loop and pull it closed. And then that's it, fastened off, okay? That's how you fasten off. What I've done for my actual hat, and I fetched that darning needle, what I've done for my actual hat is when I fastened off here, I've left enough length, more than enough length, so that I can use that for sewing with. So I'm going to thread my needle, and then we can sew all along here to here. This end is a little bit wider because I confess that along the way I've lost 2 stitches because I wasn't concentrating. But do you know what? I don't care. It'll be fine, honestly. This is not a project about precision. This is my palette cleanser between more fancy projects. And all I wanted to do was crochet. I did not care about precision or where my stitches were going or whatever. I was just happy just doing crochet. Right, so right sides are together, and then what I want to do is on this piece closest to me, I'm going to go into 2 loops of the end of the work. Okay, I don't know, hopefully you can see where that needle has gone. And then on this side, the stitch has created 1, 2, 3 loops rather than just 2 that you might see in like a single crochet, which is a UK double crochet. We've got 3 to work with, and what we want to do, we want to work into the back one. And that means that these 2 will be pushed forward on the right side of the project to create another kind of rib end, thus hopefully not interrupting the nice look of the hat. So all I'm doing is a whip stitch. So front 2, there's 2 of them, back 1, it's the back loop. And you do that all the way along. So without too much difficulty, I've also managed to ease in the 2 lengths that were a couple of stitches different because of my errors. I've also managed to just ease it in so that they're both meeting at the end without too much drama. So now I've got a nice cylinder, and I've still got plenty of yarn left on my needle, so I'm going to use that to work around the top. I didn't really decide whether or not which side I wanted to be, the top or the bottom. But if you wanted to work that out, you could, and then choose which end you're going to gather. I'm not that fussy on this occasion, so I don't care, and I'm going to do it where we landed. And so what I'm going to do is just a gentle kind of popping the needle in through the ends like that, and I'll do that all the way around to gather the top of the hat closed. So this looks like a good thing to do. Just pop the needles into every other row or whatever. I mean, you may have determined now that I am being pretty laid back about how this is coming together, but also that it's not going to have, you know, it's that's okay. I quite like projects where it doesn't really matter and you can just go with it. That's the fun of it. So I'm going to do this all the way around. If you find yourself running a little bit short of yarn, just give it a little pull and that will give you more to work with. And yeah, I've got a different camera set up today, so it's sort of hovering above my head. So every time there's a wobble, it knocks the camera. So if you're feeling seasick, I'm really, really sorry, but I'm not re-recording just for a couple of wobbles. I hope that doesn't make me a bad person. So I've reached the other side. Ta-da! And then what you want to do, here it is, look, it's all up, that's the other end from when I started it. I'll sew that in later. And so you just pull to close. And we're working wrong side out at the minute, which is what we want. And then be kind of careful, because if you're using natural fibres or an easy to break fibre, then at this point, if you pull too hard, you're in danger of breaking it, and then you have to do it again. And what you're going to do here is just make sure that all of this, I've never actually worked out how to do this in a posh way. So I just ram the needle wherever it goes, you know, not eating too much into the hat. You want to stick to the top. You may want to just kind of gather all around. It's sort of guesswork for me here. Just keeping it nice and taut without really pulling so that it breaks. And you do that a few times. Maybe also go back on yourself so that it becomes more secure. And then what we'll do is we'll have a little look in a minute and see if we've caught enough loops and that we're happy that it's fine. But what we're going to do anyway is disguise it with a pom-pom on the other side. What you could also do is get the other end and tie it. So that it's really not going anywhere. And then do a bit more if it needs it, but let's have a look. Ooh la la. Quite like that. What do you think? Oh, it's a hat. I'm so excited. A couple of ends loose there. I can always use a hook and pull them through the other side if I want. So, just do a couple more stitches to really get it secure, then I'm going to make my pom-pom, but I might have my lunch first, I'm not sure. No, I'll just go straight onto the pom-pom, because then I can relax when I eat my lunch, can't I? It's leftovers. I'm having soup from yesterday. It's delicious. Homemade, of course. Right. I don't know. Just for extra giggles, let's tie again. I'm not gonna snip them just yet, in case I want them to help with my pom-pom tying. Let's move on to pom-pom making. I am not the best pom-pom maker. In fact, I'm pretty dreadful. So much so I haven't even ventured into using these contraptions before. What would you use? What size? Should we go for the big one? The big one's more impressive, right? Hopefully we've got enough yarn. I'm going to go for the big one. I'm going to go for the big one. So each side needs to be wrapped round, doesn't it? I've got, what's that? That's almost a full 50-gram ball of the double knit, and a decent amount of this 25-gram ball of the mohair. The mohair, where did I get the mohair from? I think it's Drops. It's a real bargain. So I'm going to make a pom-pom. I'm going to wrap this side. I'm going to mostly use the white for this one. It's going to be mostly white, and as with the hat, we can have some blips of colour in it. So I don't know how this is going to. You might shake your head at me and go, "What the hell are you doing?" You might. Oh, I'm over there. Sorry, I just went off camera because I did. So I don't know when to introduce this. Let's just go like this. Do. Something like that, and then we'll carry on wrapping. I don't know what this is going to look like. It might look rough. I'm going to chuck that on the floor. It might look awful. I don't know. I don't want it to be too much colour. I just want little blips of colour. But we shall see. I'm hoping that this will be enough. I'm going to do what I just did on that side, and then we'll see what it looks like. I have no idea. Right, back in a minute. So remembering that I'm not very good at this and don't know really what I'm doing, I've wrapped loads of yarn around each side, and they're not the same. I've done it in different orders with the colours so that it doesn't look all mirrored, and hopefully it'll be random. I've got a length of yarn on standby to tie it together when I've cut it, and then I suppose I just cut this and hope for the best. If I had some better scissors, I'd be happier. So far, so good. Right, that's going to go in there, there, ooh, there. But quickly, oh my God, I've just heard the mohair snap. Nice one, mohair. Then I'm going to go around a couple times. I don't know. This is. Maybe I should have looked up some pom-pom making tips. My mohair's had it, so don't use the mohair on this bit. Let's tie it again. Oh, it's getting in the way. And this is the bit where I'm a bit worried that I'm going to ruin it. So I'm going to say that that's like, you know, what do you think? One more time on the other side. Go on, you can do it. You can do it. Tie that off again. I'll do. And then, right, we have ourselves a pom-pom. Oh my God. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my kitchen bin, stand over it, and give it a haircut. It's enormous, but I really like it. It's exactly what I want. I'm really pleased. These are the two ends that I tied down the centre, and I've kept them long because we're going to use them to sew it onto the hat. If I'd thought about it, I should have doubled up, because that would have given me 4 anchors to attach the hat, and 4 is actually better than 2 and can stop the pom-pom from loosening. But I didn't do it. So what I'm going to do though is one yarn I'm going to poke in here and one yarn I'm going to poke in here, so that they're not going in exactly the same place, but just a little bit off centre both times. So one goes through to the middle, and then the other one in a different place goes through as well. So put that bit there. So I'm going to put this on the other side of our centre, and then we've got them coming through on the inside. But we've also got, I left when I sewed the ends free, I've got them, and I'm going to use them as well to help tie on. Maybe, I don't know. I'm undecided. Here are the two pom-pom ends. So I'm going to tie them together and pull as tightly as I dare, because I don't want that pom-pom to be flapping around all over the place. And then I might just bring them all in together and tie them off. But if you had 4 sections of that pom-pom yarn ends coming through, it's a really stable anchor for that pom-pom, whereas I only had 2. So, I mean, you saw I did tie that quite tightly, and that's nice actually. That's not too loose. Ooh la la! And then just sew in the ends. But you've got yourself a hat. Come on. That's amazing. Look at that pom-pom. I love it. That's incredible. I'm so happy. It's not perfect because I have no patience and just snip until my hands got tired. I might go back and just perfect the sphericalness of it. But to be honest with you, I mean, shouldn't really be that fussy because it looks pretty good anyway. And there you go. You could sew these in, or we could cheat and snip them. No one's going to see those. Job done. There you go, you have a hat. Don't forget that you can find the written pattern on my blog. And oh, I didn't show you the join. Is that it? That's not it. Where did I put the join? I can't even see it, it's that good. If you were a join, where would you be? Well, I mean, I must have done an alright job not to be able to find it. Can you see it? What's wrong with me? Why can't I find it? I'm just turning it round and round and round. I can't find that join. So, well, it's proved effective, right? Am I being a fool? I've got a sneaking suspicion it's here. It just looks slightly different, but yeah, that must be it. But I mean, it's a nice invisible join, isn't it? Oh, I've impressed myself. The only thing I'm bothered about is that they're very close in colour and they're sitting next to each other, and I quite like the fact that all these zips of colour are kind of staggered, kind of random, and not two similar shades close together. So please subscribe, because I am planning to do more video tutorials. Whether or not I come back with a podcast, I don't know, but certainly I have missed YouTube very much and would like to do more, and I have a plan to release a jumper tutorial, video tutorial on YouTube for free, and that's coming up soon. I will give you a hint as to what it will be. It's going to be a granny square jumper, and I've got to do it now that I've said that out loud. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for your support. Please do make yourself a hat and tell your friends. Thank you very much. Cheerio. Bye-bye.